Hello there. What a pasting awaits the Tories. They won't even be the main party in opposition to Labour, according to pollsters. That's right. If there were a snap general election today, the leader of the Tory party would not be the main player in opposition to Keir Starmer's Labour Party, because the SNP would be the second largest party, making Nicola Sturgeon the leader of the opposition, says a Telegraph poll of 28,000 people. And although it's still only a snapshot, a poll of that size is significant. And the poll put together by Find Out Now and Electoral Calculus predicts that Labour would get a total of 509 seats out of the 650 available. The SNP would get 50 seats and the Tories would end up with just 45 MPs, with ministers losing their seats left, right and Chelsea, while Reform UK would get 0. Now forget the fallout for the Tory party itself, that no longer matters as they have become irrelevant. The big issue facing the country would be an all-powerful Labour Party further to the left than this current bunch of con-socialists and with a huge majority. And don't think I'm overstating it. It'll be too late for regret the day after the election when looking at a red flag-draped Labour Party sharpening the tax knives. Progressive wealth redistribution around the country and around the planet would be very high on their agenda, as would voting reform to allow just about anyone from anywhere of any age to vote in the UK without proof of ID. And there would, of course, be an enhanced red carpet across the English Channel, probably involving laid-on ferries. Good luck trying to find a hotel to book in the UK once they get started. And how much more woke do you expect a Labour government to be? A little bit more? Or a lot more, given the permission they would have to do so, given such a large majority? And on progressive taxes and wealth redistribution, the concept of progressive, where taxation is concerned, can be summed up as follows. It's called greed when you want to keep your own money, but it's completely fine and generous to demand the state takes other people's money for your benefit. And any success would no doubt attract some form of windfall tax. And the reality is that as you get more progressive, you reach a certain tipping point where the rich pull out and the poor get poorer. And then you find that all that progressively taxed money was splurged up the wall by the progressive socialist government. So as far as I'm concerned, Labour would be far worse than the con-socialists. Although from what I've seen around social media and media comment sections, a lot of people are saying that at least a vote for Labour is a vote for true open communism. They do what they say on the tin, not like the covert socialism that the current Tories force on us. Although the covert nature of that falls away bit by bit every day. But further, if the SNP do end up as the official party of opposition, forget about the independence issue. The real point is that we'd have what is in effect a communist government opposed by the SNP, a party that is even more hard left than Labour is. And stand by for a hard re-entry into the European Union. Hard because it would be very expensive to our sovereignty, resources and our pockets. And within a very short time, these communists will realise their dreams of making your money and property into their money and property, and only opposed by about 50 out of the 650 MPs. In fact, many moderate Labour supporters might end up being surprised by what goes on. But take heart, a general election is not imminent. But the betting is now on that it will take place in May 2024. And the Tories are hoping to turn their fortunes round enough to have a chance of winning. And there's also a poll in the New Statesman that paints a slightly rosier picture for the Tories if an election were held right now. It puts Labour on 424 seats, with the Tories in second place with 138 seats, and the SNP in third with 42 seats. But that's still a miserable result for the right-of-centre voters. But remember that for an election victory of these sizes for Labour, it would either mean right-of-centre voters staying at home, or they actively vote for a Labour Party that would hurt their own livelihoods. Why would anyone who's voted for Tory or for other right-wing parties ever vote for the Reds? But some on the right even talk about punishing the Tories by voting Labour, when all they're really doing is punishing themselves. Talk about idiocy. Will the right-of-centre voters really just take this beating lying down? Would they really put themselves at the mercy of a massively powerful government hell-bent on progressively stripping them of their money and property? And remember, a Labour government would need all the money it could get its hands on in order to demonstrate to the people of the UK what a wonderful place the country is if you impose eye-wateringly high taxes and pump it all into an ever-ballooning public sector. And all that money has to come from the private sector or from any pots of wealth that people leave lying about, or rack up the national debt still further. After all, remember that progressive means that keeping your own money is bad, but taking other people's dosh is good. And with such a massive majority, the Labour Party can claim that they have a mandate to vigorously redistribute wealth about the place with abandon. It's what the people demanded at the election, they would say. The people voted Labour in with a large majority because they want to see a fairer distribution of wealth and property, they would shout from the rooftops. Oh, and Labour has already declared that it will be greener than the Tories and much more net zero oriented. So your light switch might end up as more of an ornament than as a functioning piece of technology. And it's not as if we've heard a squeak from them against the likes of the carless 15-minute cities and other horrors. In fact, one of their main players, the London Mayor Sadiq Khan, seems intent on out-weffing the WEF. But the biggest disappointment is that there would only be one right-of-centre party with any significant number of votes, the Tories. And that would give more ammo to the hard-left socialists who would point at them and say, "That's all that's left of the right wing in the UK. We're all socialists now, so let's make it come true." And the result would be that the UK would have voted to become a communist state. Also, as I've already alluded to, Labour would in all probability change the voting rules to 1. Remove the need for voter ID, 2. Lower the voting age to 16, and 3. Allow anyone who is resident in the UK, or at least England, full voting rights wherever they came from. That was in Corbyn's manifesto in 2019, and Starmer backed it, remember. If there was ever a time that we needed a right-of-centre party and a leader that had the ability to ignite the imagination of the aspirational people of the UK, then that time is right now. And the tired Tories are definitely not that party and are unlikely ever to be so again.